Hopefully you remember from your pre-licensing class that real estate agents are not allowed to write contracts. The only thing your license gives you the right to do is fill in the blanks on pre-written contracts. Legally speaking, the only ones that can write contracts are attorneys. Okay, so we kind of walk a fine line when we start adding special stipulations to contracts because we're the ones that are providing the language, and typically speaking, we don't want to be the ones providing the language because it could be construed that we're writing contracts. And so what we always want to do is defer to attorneys for the language that we use in our special stipulations. And Gar's done a fantastic job of putting together a long list of special stipulations for us that we can steal the language, modify it slightly, and use that in our contracts. And you'll find the GAR form 2020 special stipulations or 2021 special stipulations, depending on when you're watching this, that give us those language. And this is a long list of special stipulations that I encourage you to go through, familiarize yourself with, highlight the ones that you think that are relevant. There's a lot of these that you're never going to use in your career, and that's perfectly okay. But there's some that you're going to use over and over and over again. Okay, give you some of the ones that are most commonly used. Special stipulation 102, agent acting as principal. Okay, we always have to disclose that we're a real estate agent when we're one of the parties of the contract. So all parties acknowledge that Trey Hunt is a real estate licensee under the law of Georgia and is acting as a principal in this transaction. Okay, special stipulation 104 lets a buyer know that if I buy your property, I might sell it for a profit. Okay, so anytime you're working with investment property and you're making an offer on investment property, this may be a special stipulation you want to include in there. Odds are you're probably not going to use any of the agriculture ones, but special stipulation 302, you'll use that a bunch. Okay, and this is a special stipulation for your amendment to address concerns. Okay, in the event that a subsequent amendment to address concerns of property is not accepted by seller and delivered back to buyer prior to the end of the buyer's right to terminate as set forth in the due diligence provision, said amendment to address concerns of property shall serve as notice of termination of this agreement upon expiration of the right to terminate period as set forth herein. That's the legalese. Okay, in layman's terms, what that means is that if both parties don't agree to this amendment to address concerns or a future amendment to address concerns prior to the end of due diligence, that at the end of due diligence, our contract's going to terminate. So we'll talk about this more in the amendment to address concerns video. But definitely this is one to pull out and use regularly if you're concerned about your due diligence period expiring before you have agreement on both sides. Okay. The next one I want to point your attention to is the termite provisions, and there are several different ones in here. So they've given us 324, 326, 328, 330 that all relate to termite inspections and what's going to happen. I particularly like special stipulation 330. Okay, prior to this specific date, seller shall provide buyer with an official Georgia wood infestation report from a licensed Georgia pest control operator dated subsequent to the binding agreement date, which covers all dwellings and garages located at the property. In the event the report reveals any active infestation from termites or the other wood destroying organisms listed in the report, seller agrees to have the termite company issuing the report treat the infestation. Okay. So, and this is a great example of where you can make small modifications to these. Okay, I don't like the prior to date. Okay, personally, instead I put in here no later than 5 days prior to closing, seller shall provide buyer with an official Georgia wood infestation report, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so no later than 5 days prior to closing. So if that closing date shifts, their timeline for getting that done shifts with it, and we don't have a fixed date in there. Okay, but familiarize yourself with each of the different termite clauses, and use the one that's most appropriate for your situation and best meets the needs of your buyer. The next one I want to show you guys is 712. So you see there's a lot in here. So 712 is another one that I prefer to modify the language slightly in here. And that's related to the home warranty. So 712, at closing, the seller agrees to provide a buyer's protection plan home warranty issued by, and whoever the company is, at a cost to the seller not to exceed, and whatever the dollar figure is, the term of the home warranty shall be for at least 1 year from the date of closing. Okay. My preference is at closing, the seller agrees to provide a buyer's protection plan home warranty of buyer's choosing at a cost to the seller not to exceed blank number of dollars. The term of the home warranty shall be for at least 1 year from the date of closing. Because when I write my contract, I don't always know which company they want their home warranty from. Okay. And I also don't want to limit what they get. If the buyer wants the premium package, okay, but they're willing to pay part of the cost of it, okay, I don't want to put the responsibility for ordering the warranty on the seller because they may not buy the premium warranty and us pay the difference. If you got questions about that, certainly get with me. And then lastly, another one that may need a little bit of modification, and that's 730. The seller's property disclosure is not attached contingency. Seller's property disclosure is not attached here too. Seller shall have blank days from the binding agreement to provide the buyer with an accurate and complete current Georgia Association of Realtors seller's property disclosure. In the event the seller fails to provide the statement, buyer may terminate this agreement within blank days from binding agreement date. And then furthermore, it goes on to say, should the buyer determine that for any reason the property is not acceptable to the buyer within blank days of the receipt of the seller's property disclosure, may terminate this agreement. This is a great clause, okay? So I highly encourage you, if you don't have a seller's property disclosure, take this language, okay? And you can also modify this language in that if you don't have the community association disclosure and you need it, okay? I could either say the community association disclosure is not attached here too, or I could combine them together. The seller's property disclosure statement and the community association disclosure is not attached here too. Seller shall have blank days to provide buyer with an accurate and complete GAR seller's property disclosure and community association disclosure, so on. So you see how you can make little modifications to this, but you're not writing the contract. You're just taking an attorney's language and putting it in there. That keeps you very compliant with the state. So hope you guys find this helpful. If you've got any questions about special stipulations, if you're looking for specific language and you don't find it here, get with me, get with the broker. Certainly call me, text me, email me. Have an awesome day.